Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Once Upon a Time. So, a very interesting episode where we have Emma and Regina kind of locked up in a mirror, a special mirror that is kind of essentially connecting to the mirror world, like basically that Sydney, the magic mirror, the one that Regina always was kind of her confidant that she relied on and everything. It was kind of the world that he's connected to. And I've loved how this world is actually designed. It's basically mirrors connecting to the other world, but it's like they're one-way mirrors. You can't look. You can see from the mirror world on the outside, but you can't interact with it, which I find very interesting. I guess the reason why it worked for Sydney was because it was that specific mirror and it was a special enchantment on it to allow for it to be a two-way speaking situation. Because the last time we saw Sydney was back in season 4, I think, when Elsa's aunt let him go because he kind of betrayed Regina and them. So I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, that was the last time we saw him, but it's just very interesting how it's designed that basically you can touch a mirror, and it basically wasn't necessarily just mirrors, just all reflective surfaces, essentially. Anytime there anything, I mean, I think it was allocated mainly to mirrors, but there was that thing that was on a pole that kind of reflected. I thought that was, I mean, it looked like it was a mirror to me, but maybe it was. It just looked like it was like a reflective surface, but now I'm thinking about it, it is allocated just to mirrors. But still, any mirror in particular, you touch one, it's like, oh yeah, this one is the granny's. Oh, this one's to Emma's house, for example, so that was kind of cool. I mean, because it furthers that situation of being like, hey, anything Regina can think up, the evil queen's kind of already thought up herself. She's like, it's like we have the same mind, we have the same way of thinking. So obviously I knew you'd come to that conclusion at some point to try and use the mirror to trap me. Because it also put in a different thing, like Regina was like so tired about the Snow and Prince Charming situation, which was heartbreaking. It's like it's kind of sweet how they handled it. It's just kind of like, okay, I'm awake. I did what I needed to do. I was with Neil. I did this and that. All right, time to wake up, Prince Charming. And they just did it back and forth, leaving notes for each other. Even at one point, David kind of leaves flowers for her, so the moment she wakes up, it's right there, and it's like, oh, he's right. Like they're so close yet so far away from each other. Like that's the only way they can interact and everything. And it broke Regina's heart. She's just like, I gotta stop this. And like Emma's like, I know what you're going to try and do. It's like you're going to try to hurt yourself as a means of hurting her, because that's literally the only way they know how to defeat her. But for Emma, she's like, no, I'm going to die soon. My future's already set in stone. I at the very least need you to be here, because Henry needs at least one of us here, and I know I'm not going to be here, so I need you to be here for him. So it's like, don't go out on a kind of a suicide mission type of thing. So, but just the whole fact is, the moment that happened, I saw her to say, okay, you're about to impersonate Regina, and she did, and like came as no surprise. I really love the fact is that when Snow was like, oh, you finally got rid of that monster, she's like, monster? I mean, I wouldn't go that far. So she said, yeah, she's kind of the worst side of you and everything. It's like, oh, that's so nice of you to say. Because this episode also put in perspective for me, it was already set up, but it didn't even really cross my mind until this episode. She legitimately cares for Henry, because a point she makes in the episode is like, anytime there was something going on that, you needed the stern mother to kind of be there to kind of toughen you up, tell you not to be like, essentially, not to cry about something, but to stand strong. She's like, I was there. Because you kind of forget that, like, the evil queen, because that's what this episode is kind of essentially, especially when they run into the dragon, but I'll get to all that later. But it's like, the fact of the matter is, the evil queen, yes, she's evil and whatnot, but the fact of the matter is, whether you like it or not, she is a part of Regina. She has been for a very long time, and she always will be, because you kind of see that reflected in the fact is that the evil queen doesn't care about anyone. Back in the day in the Enchanted Forest, all she cared about was revenge, so she never really got close to anyone. She kind of cast there were moments, when it was like, oh, you're destined to find love again. You remember when her and Robin kind of missed crossing paths and everything. Like, she was still hoping for love, but you see that reflected in the evil queen, because she's just like, she's holding on so tightly to Henry because she wants him, because she's like, I love you, you're my son. And then also just trying to be with Rumpelstiltskin too, just being like, because for her, you know, she even said it to Rumpel, is like, I don't want a happily ever after. I want a new beginning. You know, this is what, because she's trying to start her own family in a sense, basically doing what Regina always wanted, because she's a side of Regina's heart that kind of just doesn't like follow the rules, isn't kind of in a way a goody two shoes, isn't, in her words, soft. You know, because like caring so much in her eyes means being weak. And the fact is, she looks at Regina as like her weaker side. But the fact of the matter is, they're two sides of the same coin, because it comes down to balance. And this episode like brought it more to the surface to me. Like, it just already like made me like pushes my theory further. Like, the only way this is going to end is Regina and the Evil Queen are going to have to become one again, because even the dragon himself said like the point was for you to fight internally the struggle of light and darkness, not to literally bring your darkness to life to try and kill it. It doesn't work like that, because it's the same situation of I guess the kind of example, I mean, obviously the age-old light and dark. You can't have one without the other. You need the balance. That's why you destroy one side, you destroy both, because that's kind of like the universe's way of equaling it out. So the only way to stop the Evil Queen is by adding in that little bit of Regina, like combining what made Regina, the good side of Regina, the good in Regina that everyone always saw, whether it was Henry, whether it was Snow, that good side of her. Because even Snow will admit, even before it was all said and done, before the whole Daniel thing, her and Regina were close. Like, Regina was her stepmother, but they were more like sisters. But I mean, obviously that all changed with Daniel, but that side of Regina, combined with the Evil Queen, is what makes her her. Like, because that is the thing. She has to find that balance. That struggle is hers. Like, the conflicted heart balancing, trying. I mean, and this isn't the first thing. Like, legitimately, like, if you want to kind of going all nerdy and everything, it legitimately reminds me of Riku from Kingdom Hearts. That's like a big struggle for him, trying to find his way between the light and the darkness. And he ends up ultimately finding out he doesn't belong to the path of light or the path to darkness. What he walks is the path to twilight, the twilight path, not the twilight path, but the path to, I forgot which one is it. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, if you want to get it all uppity about it, like, really the twilight path is really like the nobody's wouldn't be. But I mean, it's like the path to dawn, or the middle road, and that's what Regina's going to have to come up with. I know I completely got off board there saying that, but that was just the thing. And just like, because you see it in the way she took care of Henry this episode, it's like, oh man, you have to, you know. The fact of the matter is, she's like, oh, we could, maybe one day go back to the Enchanted Forest. You can be at my castle. You can become a king. You have the potential to become one. I see it. Just actually legitimately being a loving mother, trying to give him advice. I mean, and what I also like is the fact is that Henry and Killian saw through that really quickly. He's like, okay, something's up here, trying to track down Emma. And then even the Evil Queen was like, I'm surprised you figured it out. And then Henry finds it out because of that one sentence of being like, hey, straighten up and stop slouching. The moment she said that, it clicked in his brain that was the Evil Queen, because that's kind of like one of the first things she said to him when they met face to face earlier this season. So it just, like I said, it's actually a little sad, because even she's pleading, like, being like, I'm not 100% a villain, whether you realize it or not, Henry. I love you. I care about you. I am your mother, because she is a part of Regina. Like I said, whether anyone likes it or not, she is a part of Regina, because for Regina, it's a constant reminder of who she was in her past. And it sucks, but you can't forget your past, because your past is what helped it forces you to not, it makes you reflect on who you were, like, and you might be a completely different person now, but you have to thank your past for that, because without your past, you wouldn't be who you are right now. And you also have to use your past as a means of being like, hey, I can never let that happen again. And that's the thing. It's a struggle, but that's the point. It's a struggle that keeps Regina good, in my opinion. It's like, because she has that conflicted heart, that it's her path, And I mean, that's getting a little existential right there and everything, but still. And just the fact is that she was trying to push Henry, because in her eyes, Henry is soft. He's not as strong as, like, oh, you're always hidden behind your mothers. Henry has shown on more than one occasion he can be strong. Let's not forget, once again, the Arthur situation where all the heroes got turned into nobodies and the villains became heroes. It was Henry who brought everyone together and fought so hard. So it's kind of like, you can't say he's weak. I mean, because even Emma and Regina recognize it. It's like he's gotten strong. And he says it himself. He's like, I am strong because my mom's taught me that my family makes me strong. I have people who care about me. You, sadly, you're alone, and you will never understand what it's like to have the strength of having other people beside you, your family, you know. And so, because she even wanted him to crush the dragon's heart, because I was wondering about that. I was like, oh, he's in the mirror. I was like, oh, did she give him his heart back or something? And then she pulled out. I was like, right. I thought so. I was like, didn't she pull out his heart the last time we saw? Because she pulled it out at the end of season 5. So I was like, huh, didn't she have his heart? It's like, okay, I guess not. So, I mean, he never got outside of the mirror per se. So I know Henry grabbed his heart, but I don't know if he is actually outside of the mirror. But I mean, I guess we'll kind of get to that when the road comes to it. I mean, is there actually a way of getting there from the outside? Like, I mean, pulling him out, because there's no magic within the confines of that mirror world. But the fact of the matter is, she wanted Henry to smash the heart. It's like, it's the only way to save your mom. It's like, Henry's like, you're not going to darken my heart. It's kind of like teaching him, the fact of the matter is that it was like a lesson that she was teaching him. It's like, you know, that basically in her eyes, there's not all good and there's not all evil. Like, kind of using the Darth Vader example, because he's like, you're not about to Darth Vader me. It's like, but we watched that movie enough. Now, can you honestly tell me that Darth Vader was 100% a bad guy? She's like, I'm not some villain, but I'm sure as hell not a hero. At the end of the day, I'm just your mother. And like I said, she represents both sides of Regina, so both sides which were there to help raise Henry. So in a way, yeah, she is his mother, just as much his mother as Regina is. So it's just, like I said, it's kind of interesting because you never put that in perspective, because it's so interesting to see her actually care, because for the longest time you saw that the queen didn't care. She'd crush and kill anyone in her path just because she was so focused on revenge. But we see this side of her being like, not just wanting revenge, she wants it all. She wants a family, she wants a life, you know. I would go as far as saying she's probably jealous of Regina, because Regina has everything that she, the evil queen, fought so hard to get, to take away from others. And it's like Regina has that. And it's just like, maybe you could argue that's her lashing out, just being like, it's not fair, you know. And not only did you get what well, I mean, she lost it and everything too, but you know, that could also be an argument of like, oh, because you didn't have me, because you weren't strong enough, because I wasn't in control. If I was in control, I would have protected everything because I had the strength. You're weak without me, type of thing. But it's also because she's siding with their mortal enemy, the Charmings, you know, particular Snow White. It's like she harbors so much hate for Snow White, and it's like you're besties with her now. That's, you know, so that's where that also comes from. And side note, since I was talking about the dragon, I should have figured that was kind of literal, calling him a dragon. I mean, wasn't the first dragon Emma's faced off against, because she did fight Maleficent back in season 1? Was that season 1 or season 2? I don't remember. I think that might have been season, I don't know. I can't remember that far back now. But the interesting enough, the moment he transformed, I saw the red cloud, I was like, wait, this is it. And then he transformed, I was like, Is he supposed to be Mushu? I was like, dude, that's crazy. Because that was never something that came up in Mulan's storyline, is the whole like, oh, Mushu thing. Because we never really got too much of a look at Mulan's story. Her story has kind of been through like her joining up with other people. Like, we've never had an extensive look at. I mean, I don't know if we kind of will, because at the time, Jamie Chung, the actress who plays Mulan, is currently on Gotham playing Valerie Vale. So I'm kind of like, I mean, like, once again, these are like, you don't know the kind of production schedule between different shows. So obviously she could, but it'd be kind of interesting to see what her story's like in this one. Because you only, like I said, her story has always been connected. Like, she herself has always been connected to someone else's story, whether it's Meredith from Brave or Philip and Aurora type of situation, or with, at one point in time, Robin Hood, because she joined up with them after she left Aurora and Philip. So, and then the last time we saw her, she was hanging out with Dorothy and Ruby. So, But I mean, that's besides the point and everything. It's just kind of like, it's cool to see that. And it makes you wonder, is there that connection in this? Because because Aladdin popped up in this episode, which I love kind of, I'm giving her a hard time, obviously, but you have Belle and Zelina who join forces because it's like, hey, I need to get away from Rumple. And Zelina reluctantly agrees and everything. And it's like, oh, we need something, the sorcerer's wand. And it's like, hey, let's get the best thief in town to do it, and that being Aladdin. And they almost kind of guilt him, especially Zelina. Zelina's like, yeah, you know this whole situation wouldn't have happened if you never brought the shears here. You tried to give them to Emma, and now they're in Gold's hands. So yeah, it's kind of your fault. One of those things of like trying to be all heroic and everything, kind of backfiring and screwing someone over, essentially. And then Belle being like, you're a savior, you know? So it's kind of like, you know, show me the hero that you were, or something like that, right? Like I said, I'm giving Belle a hard time, you know, it's just because she's trying to find a way to get away from Gold by any means, because it's just like, for the sake of her son, for their son, rather, she has to. But what I find most interesting is the fact is he took the lamp from the shop, and it's like, oh, is he? It's like, no, he's not there. It's like, you know, he's free and everything. So to a certain degree, a lot of the stuff from the Tale of Aladdin, at least the version I know, because wasn't originally part of the 1001 Tales stories. Like, wasn't that one of the stories that was told was Aladdin's story? But nevertheless, the whole. But even if you just base it on the Disney movie, it's like, oh, you know, the animated Disney movie, it's like, oh yeah, Genie. It's like, he's like, yeah, don't worry, but he's free. I'm like, oh, his old pal is free from the lamp and everything. So that's cool. I mean, granted, they're saying like there's another genie in there, so it's gonna be interesting to see where that goes. But it was also that slight nod that when he was in Gold's shop, the monkey clapped, and he's like, thanks a lot, monkey, or something like that. I'm like, ah. Like, because I brought that up before. I was like, where's Genie? Where's Abu? Because from the original tale, I don't think Abu exists. I know the Genie played a part in it, but I don't think Abu ever existed. So I think that was something only Disney, the Disney animated movie related, which I'm kind of bummed about, because it's like, that's probably one of my favorite duos is Aladdin and Abu. So just, I don't know. I guess part of me felt like that. I was like, I kind of smiled a little bit because I was like, oh, that's a slight nod to him. Like I said, I don't know whether he exists or not. From the little bit we saw of Aladdin's past, he didn't. But granted, we didn't see Genie as a part of that past, yet Genie is a thing, because it's like, yo, he's free from the lamp and everything. So, just something that kind of popped in my head. Also, the whole situation about, because I love, like, you know, Gold is like, I'm not going to let you go. He has he puts like a shackle looking bracelet on her. Like, now, no matter where you go, I can find you, because you won't get away from me. You won't take my son away from me. And he's like, believe it or not, everything I do is for love. And then like Zelina was about to say something, and he starts choking. He's like, no one said you could talk, and starts choking. I'm like, yeah, because I was halfway expecting him to go straight after Zelina. I was like, especially after last episode, her telling him everything, like telling Belle everything about Gold and the evil queen. So, but then he stops. I'm like, oh, she's like, oh, you're having a heart attack. It's like, you thought I brought you back, gave you back your magic from the goodness of my heart? It's like, no, of course the strings attached. We're connected. So if I get hurt, basically you get hurt too. So it kind of screws you over. But then, you know, being normally the way he is, you have Gold being like, you know, I do my thing. Of the fact is, well, for when he was telling Belle, it's like, I take what I want. And then he was like, hey, also the other thing about me you should know is I always find a loophole, dearie. And it seems that loophole will be the evil queen, because she's like it's like, okay, we are officially joining forces and everything, which Regina's happy about because they're making out and everything. Like I said, I'm still thinking about, wasn't it last episode that came up, and it's just like the look of just like, oh, really? Gold? Rumpelstiltskin? There was chemistry? That thought still, it makes me laugh, just everyone's reaction to that. But also, just like I said, she legitimately wants to be with Rumpelstiltskin, because like for her, I would almost go as far as saying, I think the evil queen is actually in love with him. I would actually go that far. But he's like, oh yeah, but the fact is we're going to be a team, right? So it's kind of like a quid pro quo type of situation. So you kind of have to do something for me. It's like your sister, she's going to be a problem and everything. It's like, oh, you want me to talk to her? And he's like, nope, I want you to kill her. And then the look on her face, like, wait, what? It's like, holy crap, it's come down to that where it's like he wants her to choose between Zelina and him. Now, obviously, she has strong feelings for Rumpel, but then at the same time, it's like Zelina is still her sister because she made such a point to be like, I accept you. Regina never did. Was always a little distrustful of you, even when she said that she trusts you. But me, wholeheartedly, you have my trust. You're my sister. They had the little, not really spa, but getting their nails and stuff done day, just hanging out, being all sisterly, being there for each other. And it's like, I mean, it's hard to say whether or not she will or not. Like I said, it really comes down to how strongly she feels about Rumpel. But I mean, she still loves Zelina. But it's like, if it means getting her revenge, would she be willing to cast aside her sister? I mean, because the fact of the matter is, like, that's the whole reason why this revenge got started, is because you lost someone that you love because of Snow. So it's like, will you be willing to cast aside someone you love just to get your revenge? Oh, and not even just cast them aside, straight up kill them for the sake of continuing your revenge and keeping Rumpelstiltskin, because it's like, I legitimately do think that she loves him. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Evil Queen. Will she be conflicted? Will it be an easy decision? From her expression, it didn't seem like it was an easy decision. Once again, you wouldn't think the Evil Queen cares about anyone. It's like, oh, you're pure evil. And like, even villains have people that they care about, because as this show shows you, not all villains were 100% villains. I mean, the only true villain I can think of, Hades to a certain degree, because we never really found out much of his past. I mean, he's kind of the Lord of the Underworld, so it kind of comes with the territory. But Cruella de Vil is kind of like the only one too, because she was just kind of a terrible person right from the beginning. So that's an example. But most villains in the show, it's like, you take even Rumpelstiltskin, like, how he became the way he did was because he was mad at himself for being a coward. He wanted to be someone that, I mean, he got left by his wife and he just wanted to do something to be there for his son and everything. So, like I said, it's just going to be interesting to see what happens. And this whole situation with Prince Charming and Snow White, plus Emma's future, is just so many tales. It's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out. I'm very interested to find out what's going to happen with this whole Rumpel and Belle thing too, because it's like, because even to him, because that's the sad thing, even with Rumpel, for Rumpel being with the Evil Queen, I'm pretty sure that's just him using her, because it's as a means to an end. Because truth be told, even if he's doing the whole thing with her, really the person he loves. And that's another sad thing for the Evil Queen. He doesn't really love her. He might be interested in her. There might be something there, but I think she loves him, but I don't think he loves her, because he still loves Belle in his own twisted, manipulative way. He actually still loves her. So, and the sad thing is, even with everything as it is, there will always be a part of Belle that will love, Rumpelstiltskin too, which is kind of sad. I mean, which I'm sure she kind of like very dislikes herself for, but I mean, it's like, you can't really control who you love. I mean, she's trying to change that, but it's like once again, the heart is and does what it wants, It likes who it likes, That's all there is to it. So, but really, that's all I really want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.